Hello and welcome to the TnN Show. This is episode number 6. For those who are listening to the show on audio, please share to a lot of your friends and everyone who listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, and the likes. For those of you watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and also share with your friends. Today, we're going to be introducing a new member to the team, and that's Nakai. Hello, Nakai, how are you?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
and
really
of
excited.
course. Okay, thank you. And of course, the old Ngoni has been here for a while. Hello,
Hey
Ngoni.
guys.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to be talking about Tottenham. Tottenham is the first topic of the day. Can Tottenham challenge for the Premier League, and what do they need to do to get it right? I think it's fair to give it to Ngoni because he seems to be the only one here who actually likes Tottenham a little bit.
I don't really like Tottenham. I'm a Man United fan. But can they really win the league? I don't think so, because I'm not really convinced by their performances so far. It feels like they're just grinding out results a lot, and they're not really putting out teams like what we've been accustomed to from the previous title winning sides. For instance, 2-3 seasons ago when Man City won it, they were really blowing teams away. Last season, Liverpool was just blowing teams away. So I still haven't seen that from Tottenham as of yet.
Okay, I will take that as a no from you. So this kind of makes it a little boring. I hope Nakai has got something else to say. What do you think, Nakai, when it comes to Tottenham?
Okay, to make it a bit interesting, I'll try and speak on both sides. So, firstly, I'll speak on. To agree with Ngoni, I don't think they can win the title, mainly because, especially at the stage where the season is now, you have the likes of Southampton in the top 4. I mean, what kind of, it's sort of hard to try and make those definite predictions now. So I think, yes, granted, they have been playing well. They won their last game against West Brom, which is good, but I'm not too sure if it's enough for us to conclude that, yes, they can be title contenders or they can do enough to win the league. However, on the other side, playing well, you never know, it might instill confidence in the players. They might feel like, okay, we're getting into the groove now. We can improve, we can continue winning games, and who knows, maybe next month we might be saying something different and Tottenham might retain their position in the top 4. But personally, my opinion is I don't think that they have a chance to win the league. And you also had pundits like Jamie Carragher, who was speaking on the same topic as well. He was asked the same question, and he was saying he still thinks it's a Liverpool Man City race. He's not even considering the likes of Tottenham. So at this stage, I think that's where people's main focus is on the top, the big ones, the big teams, the likes of Liverpool, Man City, maybe Leicester. But who knows? A month from now, Tottenham might be at a place where we can say that they have a chance of winning the league. But personally, I don't think so yet.
But guys, I think we have to consider their defense because looking at the Tottenham defense, they've been grinding out wins. They're not conceding a lot of goals. Of course, there was a period when they were conceding goals, but after that match versus West Ham, I think they've made an adjustment because if you look at their stats, they're now attacking a lot less after that West Ham game, a lot less shots, a lot less goals scored in their games, and they're also conceding a lot less. Don't you think this improvement in their defense is going to help their chances when it comes to challenging for the title? And yeah, let's start talking about their defense. I'll start with you, Nakai. With the improvement in their defense, isn't that going to help them challenge?
I think that is a good point actually that you've raised, is the defense, because if you help to keep more clean sheets, that also helps as well. And then I think because at the end of the day, it also comes down to the GD, the goal difference as well. So then you also need to take that into consideration when we're looking at winning the league, because we've seen what the difference in GD can do in deciding who wins the league as well. So I think that is a very interesting point, actually.
And of course, now speaking in relation to their attack, Ngoni, are you not sleeping on Son and Kane? You mean Son and Kane have been on fire? Are you saying if these guys just keep on scoring these mega goals, lots of goals, they can't have a chance? I'm not saying win it, but a chance.
Well, if Son and Kane can maintain the form, then yeah, they do have a chance. But I still feel like they need to get Bale in the mix as well, scoring goals, providing assists. And apart from Kane and Son, who really can Spurs look up to score goals? If Kane goes on injury or if Son goes on injury, then what? That's the major concern for me. Like, their squad doesn't have depth.
I get where you're coming from. That's why I was talking about Son and Kane, how impressive they have been so far, considering that Gareth Bale hasn't come to the party yet, and he looks like he's getting there slowly but surely. He's getting fitness, getting a lot more minutes game by game. He's actually scored a winner when they played Brighton. Is it 2 weeks ago? He scored the winner in that game. So he could be integral in this challenge we're trying to put. Of course, we are the ones who are making this story up. No one from Tottenham has come out and said we're going to win the Premier League. We're just trying to make a case for them.
Yeah, they have been impressive, I have to say. I've really been impressed more by Harry Kane. I think he scored his 150th goal, if I'm not mistaken, in the Premier League. I think it's the fastest. So I think he has what it takes to go on and beat, Alan Shearer on his record. Yeah, he's actually on course to do that. And Swan has also been impressive, I have to say, on the right-hand side, cutting back inside. Yeah, I think a good partnership.
Okay, great. So just before we move on from this, I'm going to ask you guys which position you're going to give Tottenham at the end of the season. I'll start with Nakai. Where are Tottenham going to finish?
I think 5th.
Not even Champions League. Not even Champions League.
5th. I think they're just going to make it just 5th.
Ngoni?
I think they'll finish 4th because I think that, all Mourinho teams know how to defend, and I think defense will be very key for them. Conceding less goals, which means they'll probably draw a lot of games come the end of the season, and I think they'll just do enough for 4th for me.
When before the season began, I put them 4th, but they've impressed me so much in some of the things that they've been doing. I think they might actually finish 3rd behind Liverpool and maybe Chelsea. They'll finish 3rd behind Liverpool and Chelsea. Any disagreements, guys?
Chelsea.
Yes, Liverpool and Chelsea.
So you're saying City will win the title?
No. I'm saying that they're going to finish 3rd behind Liverpool and Chelsea, and maybe Man City will come 4th.
Oh, behind Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I get it.
Then Man City might be 4th.
Interesting
Man City
prediction.
4th.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting prediction.
Man City suck, guys. Man City suck. I've said this before. I'll say it again. They suck. Okay, now let's address this Hakim Ziyech thing that's in the nest at the moment. Hakim Ziyech is come on, but he hasn't played a lot of games, to be fair. He's played 4 games and started 2 in the Premier League, but he's provided 3 assists and a goal, and is giving about 2 key passes a game. He's getting fouled 1.3 times a game. These are key stats for an attacking player in the Premier League. You get these good stats in attacking positions, it's always going to be a benefit to your team. Chelsea were lacking a lot of balance before he started playing. Of course, granted, most of it was defensively, but he's come on and he's looked so good and so great for Chelsea. Can he now be the one who elevates Chelsea to that next level where last season, without the transfer window, with the transfer ban, they were a typical top 4 team, just vying for the top 4. Can he take take them to the next step where they try to win the Premier League? Can they challenge for the Premier League this season with a player like Hakim Ziyech? Nakai, this is yours. I'll give you the opportunity to answer this first.
Right. So I think judging off of the game against Sheffield that was played this weekend, there's no doubt that Ziyech is top class player. He played exceptionally well. And I think he also in total created 6 chances in the game. That was more than anyone on the pitch. So he's an asset to the Chelsea squad. I think the only thing is to see if he's consistent with it, because that's the only thing that counts at the end of the day, is if a player can consistently perform this well. And I think that's what's going to determine where Chelsea finish at the end of the season. Hopefully top. That's the hope. But yeah, he's top class, exceptional player. And even Frank has said, it did take time for him to adjust, get into the swing of things and fit into the team. You were saying people expect the players to first day already be banging in goals. It doesn't really work that way. I think we had to give him time, and I think he's had that time. He also had his injury. He's come back from his injury. It looks like he's fit, looks like he's ready to go, looks like he's settled in. He also says he's comfortable at Chelsea. He's adjusted to the Premier League, how everything works. So I have high hopes for him, and I'm optimistic. I think he can do great things for the club.
Well, I have to say, great job at trying to hide the fact that you support Chelsea. That was a great job. Okay, let's give it to someone who's less biased by the fact, who's a bit more objective. I'll give it to you, Ngoni. Hakim Ziyech, when you're looking at him, what do you see?
To be honest, he's kind of given that man when he first arrived. I feel like now they play better with him in midfield. I was really impressed by his game over the weekend. He created chances for his teammates. I think he also assisted two assists. He's very good on the ball. I also saw him taking a corner. And yeah, I'm not really convinced with Havertz, though. I don't think he fits well in that Chelsea team. I don't know what Nakai thinks about that.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Havertz hasn't completely convinced me of his potential in the team yet, judging from the games that he's played. And yeah, just some of the silly mistakes that he makes. Granted, every player makes mistakes, but sometimes it's the mistakes. Those are mistakes he shouldn't be making. Now, maybe he also needs time to settle into the team and to adjust to Premier League and things like that. But yeah, I'm not yet too convinced by him yet.
He had a good season last year at Leverkusen. So, what steps should Lampard take to properly fit him in? Because surely for a £90 million player, he has to be playing games. You can't have a player of that quality sitting on the bench. The quality is there, but it's just a matter of trying to get the best out of him. So what steps should Frank Lampard take to fit him into the squad?
I think when it comes to steps he should take, I think he hasn't done too badly. I mean, I'm talking about Frank Lampard in the way he's managed Kai Havertz. He's given him a bit of game time because he needs to be on the pitch, of course. He hasn't performed the way we've expected him to perform because I think everyone expected him to come in and just light the Premier League up. There are some deficiencies in Kai Havertz's game. If you look at it at the moment, he seems to be a little bit too weak for the league. Maybe in Germany, it wasn't as physical as the Premier League. So I think he's going to need some time to adjust to the fact that this is a more physical league, a faster league. I think he's actually said it himself that when you're in the Premier League, you think you've got time to make a pass, you want to think about it, then the next thing you've already lost the ball. It's so fast in the Premier League. So maybe the more he plays, the more he adjusts to the league, he'll start getting better and better, because I think, as we've all said, yeah, you can see that the talent is there. You can see that the talent is there.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you.
Very true, yeah.
Okay, very true. Okay, let's move on from Havertz. Let's just speak about one more thing. We have to talk about, there's a Manchester United manager, a very poor manager. He's not a good manager. He should be sacked, to be fair. But he brought up something that was quite fair. He was complaining about the fixture pile up, where players are having to play a lot of games in a very, very short amount of time. How best can the Premier League make sure that they're able to protect these players? Because at the end of the day, these players are assets for the Premier League. Without these players, I think the Premier League sucks. I'll give Ngoni first chance to defend his beleaguered poor manager.
Well, this is an issue that goes back, 4 or 5 years down. I think when we look at the pile of fixtures that Premier League teams have during the first season, it's really ridiculous, because you look at other leagues like La Liga and the Bundesliga, they always take a break during the first season, and that gives the players time to recover and freshen up. And when they come back in January, they're freshed up, and then when we enter February and all of a sudden we're back in the Champions League, that's why you see mostly the Bundesliga clubs and the La Liga clubs have more success in the Champions League than the Premier League club. So they really need to weigh the schedule fixtures in the Premier League. For the case of Man United, it was really unfair, I think, during this weekend, because we had a match on Wednesday. Then the team only flew back into England on Thursday. Then we had a 1:00 fixture on a Saturday. So there was really no time for players to recover. And I think we actually incurred a few injuries. Rashford, Luke Shaw, and not sure about the third person, but there was a third person there. So it's really ridiculous, to be honest. I agree with Ole.
Okay, so Nakai, how do you think they should protect the players from all these fixtures? How do we keep them healthy? How do we keep them fit?
Well, I think it's not just an issue Man United has. I think also Klopp was also complaining about it at some point as well with his Liverpool squad. And then you also have the issue of some of the players now going to international break as well. And then you might have injuries there. Then when they come back and play for the club, I mean, it just, yeah. So I think maybe, I'm not too sure how practical it would be for those who are scheduling the fixtures to take into consideration those teams that are in more than one league, so that are playing in the Premier League and also have Champions League games, etc., to take that into consideration and try their best as they can, because it's hard to please everyone. Because I mean, every manager has their players' best interest at heart. So, and those are the most important people. So it's hard for the FA to try and make everyone happy. But I think maybe taking into consideration those teams, the likes of Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, all of that, when scheduling in the fixtures. But I mean, it's something that it's an ongoing thing, and it's something that clubs have just had to go through and push through. And yes, you incur injuries, and it's tough. But I mean, you just have to do what you have to do at the end of the day.
Okay, I understand. I've got, and I think this is obviously going to be very unpopular, because football people don't like change in any way or form. You can even look at the VAR. The argument started in 2010. I think we only got it in 2018 or something like that. I had an idea. I got this idea from rugby, where they've got a set of laws where when these players are playing for their clubs, they can't play in 4 consecutive matches. After a player in more than 4 consecutive matches, after a player plays 4 consecutive matches, the manager, the coach, whoever it is, they are forced to bench this player and rotate them with someone else. So let's just take, for example, where in the Premier League, we've got a rule, okay, maybe 4 is too little for the Premier League, where a player can only play 6 consecutive starts or consecutive games. In the 7th match, they are not allowed to play, they have to rest. So the managers are forced to use their squads better. So the players that are always on the bench also get to be happy because they know at some time or some point they're going to have the chance to play, and everyone gets rotated and we get to be able to rest a few players. I don't know what you think if the Premier League would take a rule like that, where it encourages coaches to use the bulk of their squad. It encourages coaches to use everyone in the squad and rest players in key areas, key games. I'll give this to Ngoni first because of course he's supporting Ole on this argument.
Well, I don't think your method is practical, because when you look at the Premier League, so much money has been invested in it. The broadcasting rights, sponsorship deals, and all that. So fans all around the world really expect to see top-class football being played by world-class players, every weekend. So you really have to play your best players if they're fit, to be honest. You can't be benching players just to give fringe players some game time. Personally, I don't think it's practical for the league. For the quality of the league, it's not practical.
Okay, Nakai?
Yeah, I see where Ngoni is coming from, although I do think that the idea is a good one. And I think already managers do try and sort of rotate their team and their players as well to give maybe the youngsters a chance, or to put on some fresh legs to prevent injuries also. And I do think it is a good idea and a good suggestion. As for the fans, the issue that Ngoni brought up, I do see where he's coming from with that. But at the end of the day, it is the players who are playing. It's the health of the players, and that matters at the end of the day. So, and if you're a fan, you should be a fan of all your players. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, granted, they are the popular players in Man United, the likes of Rashford, Martial, for example. But sometimes you do have to rotate the team to preserve those top players for your bigger games, which I think the fans would appreciate, because they do want to watch their teams do well in those bigger games. If it's like, for example, a Manchester derby with Man City, of course you want to see your top players go against Man City. So in order to see that, you do need to accept that if Man United is playing like West Brom or Burnley or something, you're not going to see Rashford on the pitch. And I think that logic makes sense in that sense.
Okay, yeah. So I get where Ngoni was coming from. He talked about sponsorships. He talked about how people want to see the best players all the time. But I wanted to bring up this question, in fact, in the area where we talk about these sponsorships and these big bosses of these big clubs in the Premier League, because I actually think, yes, they do force these good players to be on the pitch all the time because they make money for them. But doesn't it start to show uh, a sequence or a sign of events where it shows that these Premier League club bosses, these Premier League owners, the chief executives, don't actually really care about the players' health? Their end goal is just the money that these players are going to bring in. If you play for the Premier League, you play, you get us money. After you get us money and you're no longer Premier League level, we just throw you aside. We'll wait for the next player. We don't treat them well as well. They make us money. And these owners keep getting rich and rich and rich, but they never care about the health of the players. What do you think, God?
That's why they're 490,000 pounds. That's a ridiculous amount of money, you know. So at the end of the day, it's just business, and they also have to protect their own personal interests as club owners. So it's just business. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm saying, yes, it is business. They are there to make money. But isn't this now getting to a point where it's now greed over just the business principle of making money? And they're getting greedy now. You look at what they're doing in England when it comes to the Premier League, where they've put these pay-per-view prizes where people have to pay money to watch just one match. I think they have to pay like £15. That's an equivalence of something like $20 per game.
I think we also have to look at the environment we're in right now, you know, with the coronavirus and all that. So I think the pay-per-view suggestion was a way for the clubs to make money, to try and compensate, because right now they're not generating revenue off ticket sales, you know. So I think it's a way to try and cushion themselves as the clubs to try and make some more money, because we don't have fans in the stadiums at the moment. So it's really a tricky time right now.
Okay, no, I understand what you're saying. It's a tricky time, but that's why I'm asking, isn't this sort of greedy? Because the guy they're asking to pay $20 for a match to probably isn't going to work as well, because there's been a second lockdown in Britain. He can't go to work, so he's not earning. And they're asking him to pay an extra $20 when he wants to watch his team play. I don't know what you think about that, Nakai. Are they greedy or something like that?
I think it's quite tricky, because that's like the politics behind football, I guess. The things that go on behind the scenes, like when Goni was saying, they are sort of trying to compensate and make money up for what they lost during the coronavirus and during the lockdown, not being able to have the fans and all of that. So I think they're trying to come up with ways to do that, and in doing so, it does sort of look like it's a bit on the greedy side. But I think we also have to understand where they're coming from and where the clubs are coming from, that they've also struggled, as well as the fans, the players themselves, like you said, are also struggling. They're not making their salary as usual, and trying to pay for something that you would have just normally enjoyed is also a big ask as well. So I think it's just unprecedented times for everyone. I think it's just tough for everyone.
Okay, no, I understand. I think that's why in the world there are other people who are saying that football is losing its soul, and all that conspiracy stuff, and for lack of better word, that conspiracy shit. I would like to say thank you to you guys for joining me today on this episode. It's been a wonderful episode. It's been great having you here. We wish to have you again next week, or if next week is too far, we can have you again here tomorrow and we talk about something else. It's been a great episode. So guys, I just encourage you to like, share, and subscribe this video on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio podcast on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, just share it to your friends. Give it to as many people as you know. The channel is growing day by day, week by week. So I'd like to say thank you. This has been a wrap. It's been this week's episode. Goodbye. Thank you for watching TK Sports. For more awesome content from this channel, please subscribe. And also engage with us on our social media platforms down in the description below.